Hi again, everybody. Good morning. It's what is it? 7th of April, 2025. It's Monday, and 7:30 in the morning. Did I say that? I don't know. The temperature, boy, it's like -4. It actually does feel like -4, but as you know, when a breeze hits, like just like a minute ago, it feels like much, much, much colder. So, oh, like even right now, breeze coming. So, anyway, a lot of the news going down is some crazy stuff. It looks like, you know, it's kind of difficult to predict, the news, like you've heard, like from Donald Trump, I don't know how many times, oh, we're so close to a deal, we're close to a deal, I'll end it in 24 hours, all that sort of stuff. And it's just, and you just keep hearing this stuff. And, and then you hear from Zelensky, and he's like talking like, there's no way I'm going to sign something. I'm not going to agree with something like that. Basically, like I've been saying, Zelensky, without actually using those words, he wants a complete unconditional surrender of Russia. He wants them to surrender, and it's like he's still under some kind of an illusion that the whole world community is behind him, and he seeks to use the press just like he did when he went to the White House. He seeks to use, like even J.D. Vance even said it. J.D. Vance, he's pretty keen on a lot of things, like he pointed at the camera and says, you come over here and you want to use the media to plead your case, basically, and obviously he thinks he is so persuasive, he's going to get in front of the media and everybody's going to say, yeah, oh, Russia, they're, But even some days before he went over there, he said how honest he was. And he's lying and lying and lying. He lies up one side and down the other. But it's a lot like, you see Israel, how they constantly do it. They lie and they do whatever they want, and then they get in front of the cameras and act like it's a completely ludicrous idea that they could possibly lie. I mean, so many people are like that. I've even met people like that. These are the friggin' trickiest business people. Like a guy that did our apartment, and I went and I told him, he wanted to rip out all of these very strong walls built in the Stalinist era. Even though those walls were not of brick or anything, but they were of lots of pretty much solid wood inside of there, and heavy plaster and all that sort of stuff. And he wants to rip them all out and put sheetrock up. If a lot of you don't know what sheetrock is, it's like this chalkboard and sort of the crap, and like they even put insulation, but it's still not better than this old stuff. And I'm telling him, and I said, I don't want that crap in there. Don't do this. And then he when we're in a different city, he goes ahead and he does it anyway. We told him, no, don't do it, and he does it. Anyway, we stopped dealing with this guy, but we lost a huge sum of money because he's doing things the way he wants to do it. It's not his house, it's our house. And you have a lot of people like that. They do things the way they want it to be done. And it's not like they're going to live there, for one thing. And it's like, it's not even the fact that they think it's actually better. They want the money, and they think they're going to scam you. And unfortunately, we didn't have a contract at that time, and then you're not going to be ironing out all of these little tiny things anyway in the contracts. So, but all these, here they call sheetrock gypsocarton, and a lot of these builders, gypsocarton. But when you have a Stalinka, you have an older house where the walls are far more solid, far better quality. You don't want to rip them out. You don't want to put some crap up there if you don't have to. Yeah, sure, when you're building a house in modern times, maybe, because of the cost factor, you'll want to put in some sheetrock or something, but it's really terrible anyway. You get a lot of people, architects and everything, and they're trying to tell you all this stuff on what is better and what's not better, and it's like, unfortunately, I didn't speak Russian, and I would, well, maybe you want that, I don't want that, and then they want to tear out these floors as well, and Stalinkas, these are made from, the wood is cured very slowly, the wood that they had in those times, and it's very, very high quality, so you can find a pine floor, and it's like the hardest oak, really, really good quality, and they want to rip it out, and put in some all kinds of crazy stuff. The architect was saying things, he doesn't know what's underneath the floor, and then he was saying, oh, you have to drop the floor, and all this kind of crap. And then you get a kitchen, for example, and you guys probably know this. I don't know if you guys are into building or whatever, and you know, a lot of women, oh, they want a, what is it called, a built-in kitchen, you know, with the refrigerator and the cabinets. They all look the same. They all have like these things. And I was saying, well, I don't know, I let my wife out choose a lot of that stuff. I said, I really don't want that. I don't want that. And it's obvious. When you go and buy a refrigerator, for example, one that is not built in, by the way, it is less expensive and better quality than the built-in ones. And then when you put the built-in ones and you put something there, it's just a lot more things to break and a lot more things to go wrong. And we had to have the guy come and adjust and tighten and do all kinds of stuff even on the refrigerator door many times. And I see it's going to be problems in the future. And I say, oh, because it looks better. It doesn't friggin' look better to me. And you buy the regular refrigerator, for example, a lot of time these new ones, they have in digital, they have the temperatures on the top, what the temperature of the freezer is and the refrigerator. To me, they look much better. And it's kind of like, it's like brainwashing. It's just like what the politicians do in these countries. And they brainwash people. And it's just the industries. Oh, this is better. And it's like they tell you it's better. But why is it better? And there's so very much. And it's just like saying, you know, like you have this huge bed. We got a bed much like the German beds, you know, which are very big. It's like 90 centimeters length. And each mattress is 90 centimeters wide, which is nearly a meter. You can even get them that's 1 meter. So you have a huge amount of room, and they're built in such a way you can jump all over on your side of the bed and the other person doesn't feel it. But yet they try to talk you into buying a big, huge mattress, you know, for one mattress for both instead of having two, you know, and then it's better. And I say, what the hell? Why is it better? I say, who's going to carry that up the stairs, you know? A big, what is it, 1 meter by 1 meter, and they're heavy? How are you going to get that friggin' up the stairway? That's just one thing right there. Or what happens? You have some visitor come over and their child is tired. You put their child in the bed, you know, to sleep while you're talking in the living room, and then say the child pees in the bed. So then you have this huge mattress with a big old piss stain in it, you know, and then what are you going to do? You can't buy one mattress, you know, for one side. You got to buy the entire new mattress, which costs more money. Oh man. All of this stuff, you know, you got to do a lot of thinking, and a lot of these people, you know, I don't know, the industry comes up with ways to trick you, to make you think that something's better when it's not, when the whole thing is they get more money, and that's what it's all about. And that's how Zelensky works and all that, and that's how that's going on with this war in Ukraine anyway. You know, Europe, they want to continue this war. Oh, freedom, we got to protect Europe. No, it's because they get money. They're getting handouts. They're getting handouts from the military-industrial complex, and the whole world friggin' works that way. So it's all about money. And it's like I said, you get like a refrigerator, there's far less of it. You're looking at this thing and say, how come this costs more than that over there with stainless steel doors on it, you know, and digital readouts of the temperature inside, and this one doesn't have any of that, and that one costs much more than this one. Oh, you know, so it's like, oh, I'm going to be smart. I'm going to buy this crappy thing, you know. Oh man. So if any of you guys are out there and you're building a house or anything right now, or you're going to, you know, and you have your wife there, you have your wife watch this and then start to think, well, you know, why is it better to have a, what do they, in German they call it an Einbaukuchen. Why do you friggin' want that? Jeez, you know. Anyway, so let's get more onto the news here. A lot of things. I got to try to get this done. It's already 8 minutes into this thing, and like I said, it's going to take at least 4 or 5 hours at least to upload this video today, because I'm not going to be going to one of those areas. Yes. So these nuclear weapons programs, you know, there's a big spat going on right now, you know, between the U.S., even if they're not talking. But Donald Trump wants Iran to something about a nuclear deal when Iran doesn't even have a nuclear weapons program, but yet Donald Trump wants them to stop it. And it's like, I really highly doubt that Donald Trump is so incredibly stupid that he will just buy anything that Israel says. You know, and Netanyahu, as other people are now saying too, I see this, Netanyahu's been talking since the 1980s that Iran is just going to have a nuclear bomb. They're going to have a nuclear bomb. And Iran keeps saying, even back then they might have had a program, they said. But at one point, I think it was in, at least by 2015, they said, we don't have no need for one. And now, of course, a lot of people are talking in Iran. They say, well, maybe we really should be getting a nuclear, weapons program because Donald Trump, he wants to bomb us, bomb us over a fictitious nuclear program that does not exist. And it's much like Zelensky. And just a few days ago, he again said, these North Korean soldiers, fighting for Russia that nobody has ever seen. And there's no evidence whatsoever, and everybody stopped already talking about that. But Zelensky's still going on. It's like, well, how come you don't show us any of these North Korean soldiers? Or at least maybe get somebody from Uzbekistan or one of the stands that have an Asian look to them and tell us that that's a North Korean. He doesn't even do that. And there's some big reward for the first capture of the first North Korean soldier. How come they can catch a lot of Russians, but they can't catch these 17,000, I think Zelensky said at once, 17,000 North Korean soldiers, But of course, as you all know, the North Koreans are much more advanced than you think they are. They're invisible. And talk about technology, as you all know, Iran has more technologies than you think it does. I guess they have some. Possibly, and I don't know if it's fully developed. I don't know exactly what kind of a bomb that is, but it's, what do they call that? A plasma bombs, And they said, I don't know, they're kind of hinting. They didn't say that they have it, but they said they just might, Israel might experience, or United States, they said the enemy might experience a plasma bomb if they keep on doing what they're doing. And, as you know, they keep on bombing Yemen, but again, Yemen keeps attacking them. And on top of that, Gaza, apparently Gaza attacked Israel. You never know. And then Netanyahu, he promised a crushing response. So you never know, because it's very strange that they would do this at the time when Netanyahu is now, today, going to be talking with Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. So what about a false flag? Israel has done this before, and nobody got hurt. It hit the streets, whatever these rockets, and they damaged a lot of cars. One person was slightly injured. Maybe they were by, and I don't know. Maybe a piece of glass came and scratched his arm. I have no idea. But all this stuff is nothing but a friggin' global clown show. All these people, and it's, people maybe die dead or property getting destroyed, all this kind of stuff. Old Satan Yahoo. Gosh, you have these two evil people right now on the globe. One of them, and a lot of time, say if you're like me over here being in Belarus, if I start talking about all of this, and it seems, I don't know, is Zelensky heavily controlled and threatened? Is his life threatened by the Nazis or the British? I don't know, that he has to do what they tell him to do, or is he actually an evil guy like he's acting like he is, and the biggest friggin' con artist, as Donald Trump. That's Donald Trump's actually indications. It said he's a huge con artist. Every time he goes somewhere, he comes back with billions of dollars. It's incredible. So yeah, anyway, Bibi Netanyahu, or Satan Yahoo, is supposed to be talking, and they even said it first. People are thinking, it's about tariffs, and Donald Trump even said that it's about what or something. He said something like that in the interview. So they're going to be talking about, how are they going to get around to bombing Iran? And I was talking about my theory. My theory is that it was actually Israel that put Donald Trump in the driver's seat in the presidency. Israel has a lot of power, they have a lot of power, a lot of congressmen, and it looks like they called the dogs off, on the cheating machine to allow Trump to be there, and it makes you really wonder, well, what is the payback? So what does Trump have to pay them back with? And as you all know, Bibi Netanyahu, he eats, drinks, sleeps, and dreams for decades of getting the U.S. to bomb Iran. So I'm wondering if that's a part of it. Of course, they got these little things they want. Jonathan Pollard, who was a big spy and stole all kinds of nuclear secrets from the United States and gave it to Israel. He's one of the guys that they want free. He's a big hero over there, even though he did a lot of harm to the United States. That's all this stuff about the nuclear programs. You can look up Mordecai Vanunu, all this sort of stuff, I think when was that? I don't know. But anyhow, yes, okay. But it's not going to be that much about tariffs, I'm sure. They're going to give Israel whatever they want. I don't know about bombing Iran. The United States has been actually holding off, and Netanyahu's been wanting that for many decades, and everybody said, well, that's a bridge too far, and I don't know. Let's see what Donald Trump does. He's like I said yesterday, he's a guy. He's gonna step. He's gonna go where no man has gone, no president has gone before. He's probably gonna do it for Israel, and who knows what's gonna happen. We got all this stuff going on from the tariffs, a lot of stock markets going down, all kinds of chaos and haywire things going on. And I mentioned yesterday that Vietnam said we're going to make it zero tariffs. Well, now Taiwan said zero tariffs. All this, so everybody's falling in line, dropping to their knees to Donald Trump. Lots and lots of countries. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Okay, in Belarus, the security people, they busted one of these big, huge delivery vans. I think it was maybe it was a. Not one of the big, huge. I'm not exactly sure because I just saw it from the picture, and it's not important anyway. But they had 580 kilograms of explosives smuggling in, and I guess the indication is, and the evidence, that they're U.S. explosive ingredients, and they had like the walls and the I think the wall between the passengers and the drivers, that was thickened, and they put the stuff behind there, and the floors, they thickened it. And they put a lot of this I don't know, like plastic explosive, very, very, very powerful explosives. They were smuggling it to Russia. Who knows? Are they going to leave it in that van and blow that van up somewhere? It's important to kill a whole huge amount of people, or whatever. But anyway, it was on its way to Russia. Apparently, that's what they say. And but they busted them in Belarus. So. Anyway, this is going to be a little bit haphazard. Now I'm going to go back to Gaza again. Gaza, like I said, they fire these rockets, and I don't know if this is a false flag, or whatever, And it serves. Who does it serve? It doesn't serve Gaza. It doesn't serve the Palestinians. It doesn't serve anybody, except people saying, yeah, okay, suck it to these evil, dirty bastards, But no, it actually serves Israel. So everything that happens practically serves Israel. Yes. So, a lot of people now are also talking about how Zelensky, the honest man, he says he's a very honest man. He's talking about Russia violating the ceasefire, and everybody's talking about the fact that he has zero evidence. Russia has mountains of evidence that Ukraine is violating it, but that evidence doesn't matter anymore, It's emotions. Emotions is the only thing. So they're more and more. And I think it was yesterday, eight times they violated it. Time before, was it 14 or 12? It's just multiple, many times. They're just firing. And I didn't even write down the regions that they were bombing again. Doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, and I talked about that misgendering bill or something in Colorado. They had some footage on that on the internet now, where they're meeting in Colorado and talking about, taking people's children away from them if they are parents and they misgender somebody. Wow. Yeah, Bitcoin, I guess, is way down as well. The British, they're now saying that these super yachts, these Russian oligarch super yachts, are spies. They're spying on the submarines of the UK, and I don't know, maybe they're going to do something about it or not, I don't know. And then they also are starting to bust people even more so for liking Russia. If you like Russia online and you let them know, and you have evidence that you appreciate or admire Russia, they're coming after you. Wow. Huge rallies in Paris in favor of Marine Le Pen. Huge, There are some that are against her, and most of them are for her, and a lot of people. And more like, if I would have been her, I would have said it should be a rally. You can even rally more people by talking that the fact is that it's an attack against democracy and freedom of speech, So rather than her, and I would make sure, if I were her, to make sure that she will not be the focal point of those protests, because a lot of people are worried about France, and some people are even saying Macron has got some sort of insanity problem, And then he keeps now also insisting that he's going to send these troops to Ukraine, just like Starmer. These are big Lexington and Napoleons or something. They want to be big war heroes, just like Ursula von der Leyen. Boy, I don't know. These people they all have mental problems, I think. Yes. Okay. And, okay. Soros. Oh. And there's also some rumblings that Soros and old Billy Boy Gates, I guess I can say his name a lot of time, they kind of used to get after me, but they might be connected to the fact that there might be another pandemic in the near future, because that's maybe one way to stop Trump, and what's going on, all of this stuff. Wow. Okay. Yeah, well, I don't know, I wrote down here, most of this, a lot of this is to try to kill more Slavs, and these people, I don't know. Well, let me see. But also in Belarus, they hate Belarus, and at least now they're coming out and admitted that they hate Belarus, and they hate Belarusians and all that as well. They hate the Ukrainians, like I said, too, but Ukrainians are just the useful tools right now. The useful idiots, as they call it. Oh no, wind coming. And so they'll get around to that as well. And I'm just hoping one day that at least there's got to be a lot of, I'll tell you what, even the Nazis, there's a huge amount of Nazis in Ukraine that love the Nazi ideology, and they even come out and admit it. But even those people, they should have a bigger sense of pride than to be used as useful idiots. And I think maybe they think, oh, well, they're thinking that we are being used as useful idiots, but we're going to turn it around and we are going to dominate them afterwards. Ha 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 ha. Well, good luck on that, And Ukraine, as everybody knows, I mean, those people that study history, they know that Ukraine has a history of being dependent on somebody else and something else and everybody else. So the Ukrainian, and unfortunately that's in the culture, and it's not necessarily the people, say that you're raised there or whatever, and you believe that everybody has to take care of you. It has to be either Russia has to take care of the Ukrainians, you have to send us money and do all this stuff, and it's very obvious when you're looking at Zelensky. Everybody has to pay for us, we're the masters, so you have to be, and it's like, it's just another way of showing look at how superior you are. We are making everybody else pay for us, give us all this money. And they don't even stop to think about the fact that they're the ones that are dying. And of course, the Ukraine, it's the ideology, it's not the people. They don't care if those people are dying. They want the domination of the ideology of, say, look how powerful we are and we can control people. We can control other nations. We can make them do what we want to do. That's the whole thing about this. It's not the people. It has nothing to do with the people. It's the ideology. Boy, I'm going to be stressing that. I don't know, you can start thinking about different ways and putting all this together, and the survival of the ideology, and that's not a life. It's like the war on terror, and terror is like you couldn't even call that an ideology. So it's not a person, Anyway, just think about that. It's just like even the military-industrial complex. They don't care about winning the war. It's making the money. It's like wow, how fooled we are, and everything is misdirected. And you got to find out what the real culprit is, and it's not necessarily a person or whatever. But wow, maybe the person is just a tool, like Zelensky or I don't know about Satan Yahoo. Yes, because he's got a lot of nastiness on his own, and I don't know. It's actually nasty what's going on in Israel, and even if he weren't there, they have their own ideology, which also I call it's the same thing. It's the Nazism. Whenever you sit there and say, oh, we're superior to these people or those people or everybody, I call that Nazism. So anyhow, the master race. Yes, indeed. Anyway, a lot of this stuff I talked about, I got ahead of myself here. Yes. Oh, the Iranians. Let me talk about. They don't want to play games, and Khomeini, he said that they're not even going to talk to the United States, and they're saying, well, what's the point? Anyway, I'm closing with this, by the way, and they said we don't have a nuclear weapons program, so what's the point in talking to you about us closing down the nuclear weapons program that we don't have, you know? So they said they're not even going to talk to the U.S. I guess in their words, I guess translated from Farsi, it says, if you want to talk, then what's the point in threatening us if you want to talk with us? You know? And you got to realize, you know, that's a different culture there, and it's apparently much like the Yemenites, you know? These people, they have a different way of thinking, and it's not a bad way of thinking. It's not, even though it might be a little bit different than ours, and, you know, and Trump, he's got his own way as well. Maybe he calls it the art of the deal. Come out with, you know, like I said yesterday, you come out with a big, huge bomb and hold it over their heads, and you can say, well, okay, now that I got that bomb over your head and ready to pull the chain here to drop it on you, now let's talk and let's make a deal. That's Trump's way. So, but apparently that's not Yemen's way. That's not Iran's way. Some people, they don't like to deal that way. And the Russians, they have their own way as well. The Russians, they look at the goal and say, well, we have to achieve the goal no matter what it takes. And this is what we're going to do. We'll deal with you. We'll be as fair as we possibly can on the way, you know. And just the fact that they want to work things out, the West sees that as a weakness, thinking, oh, well, now we can just roll over Russia because they say that, they must be weak, you know, and then they turn it around, projection, and say that the Russians are like that. It's the complete opposite. You guys see that. Anyhow, that's about all I have for today, and I got to see if I can, how long is this thing? It looks like it is, oh, it's less than 30 minutes. That's good. Sorry, some of you guys like the long videos, but, you know, it takes a little while to upload these things anyway, and things might change in a few weeks. My classes will end then, and maybe I'll have better weather. I'll be maybe traveling around. I think I'm going to try to travel around and talk about news at the same time. That might be something really good. One of the first places I want to go, it's not even far from Minsk. It's where Napoleon was defeated. And if I possibly could, which I know I can't, but maybe sometime right around that same time, I will go to the house of the general. That's also here in Belarus, in a very, very nice town that I really love, called Volkovysk. And that's where the general that defeated Napoleon lived. His house is there. So even though he wasn't, I think he was Russian, but he liked Belarus. So anyhow, that's going to be time. Okay, the two places I'll go. You guys can even research this, maybe do a much better job than I can, or I will anyway. Kind of a lazy guy sometimes. The town I'm going to go where the Napoleon was defeated is called Borisov, and it's a little bit northeast of Minsk. And the other place, Volkovysk, it's sort of halfway between, well, maybe a little bit closer to Lithuania than it is to Minsk, but somewhere kind of in between. So called Volkovysk. Okay. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. And thanks for the comments. Bye, people.